You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, September 4th. I had to check on the watch. I really wasn't sure. I kind of lost track of the calendar over the last few days here. Anyway, we are here in Indiana, Santa Claus, broadcasting from Santa Claus, Indiana. And it was a horrendous trip, to say the least. And the jet lag was just... I don't do jet lag eastbound all that well. And we've been shopping for houses. We got our checking account set up. We got post office box activated. And the next thing is basically to locate a house that we want to live in and get our stuff, get our car, get moved in and try and get our lives back to normal here. But it's been a little bit crazy. The good news, of course, is we're not in Florida or Georgia or the Carolinas, where they're facing down Dorian, or what's left of that storm here. It's still considered a hurricane, and it just barely scraped by Florida. So the Kennedy Space Center was left pretty much unscathed. Same thing with Georgia, but it is aimed directly to the interior of the Carolinas, so they're having to deal with that. There's another storm, Fernan, which is down on the Texas-Mexico border. Another one is forming up in the Atlantic. So this is apparently going to be a very rough storm season for the people in the eastern seaboard. And it's kind of interesting because when you have a really bad Atlantic hurricane season out in the Pacific, it's just quiet. For some reason, they're always the opposite. If it's a big storm season in the Pacific, then it's in the Atlantic. Anyway, our phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. I don't have it taped up here to cheat with. And so get on the phone. Let's talk about what's going on here. Apparently, people are starting to file lawsuits with the court to block the release of names from the Jeff Epstein document dumps. And they're concerned reputations will be tarnished. Well, yeah. You behave that way and it gets out, your reputation's going to be tarnished. But apparently a lot of people are panicking and trying to get the judge to say, yeah, we're going to seal this record or that record. Yeah, it's amazing for a guy who supposedly is dead. He's still causing quite a bit of a ruckus. Anyway, getting on into more news here. Tom Fitton over at Judicial Watch came on out there and said Comey should have been arrested. And he's absolutely right. And we had this caller who was on the show one of the last days that we did it before the move. Just saying, it's insane. We live in a society where ordinary people, are punished to the full limits of the law. But the higher-ups, they just seem to walk all the time. And I saw this in Hollywood a lot, where the big stars got away with stuff because there was a lot of money riding on them. And the studio would hire a lawyer and say, let's keep this under wraps and keep a lid on it. And there were people who literally got away with murder. And it's frustrating to watch. It really, really is frustrating to watch it happen. Anyway, over in Hong Kong, the government is trying to crack down on the protesters. They're still going at it. And they tried to do it by shutting down the internet. But the protesters have come up with this peer-to-peer app called Mesh. And they're able to communicate with each other without the internet. So it was very, very clever of them to evade that. And it's probably something that we might want to keep in mind for us to be using when we reach that point where we're going to start protesting. against the government. There was this horrible shooting in Odessa, and it turns out that the guy who did the shooting wasn't supposed to have a gun. He was banned from owning a gun, but he managed to get one anyway, so there's something for all the gun grabbers to realize: banning guns may not work. And apparently this guy called up the police and the FBI and just went on this rambling screed about, all the atrocities that he had endured working for this company that had just let him go. And I don't know, they probably should have listened a little bit more closely and said, I think there's a problem here. Let's go check him out. And apparently in this staged news event, also in Texas, this man turned in a legally owned AK-47 to police and basically came on out there and said, it takes courage to surrender your gun. Well, this is obvious. Again, it's a staged PR stunt here. But Walmart has caved into the far left and is now no longer going to sell ammo and guns. Now, here in Indiana, the gun laws are very, very loose. It's very easy to get a gun. Same thing with the fireworks. And I haven't hit a fireworks store yet, but I'll get there eventually. So, and let's see. Getting on back to our political stuff. It's amazing seeing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just going on out there and still getting all this media coverage. And she tries to help bail out activists arrested for assaulting police and carrying weapons. It's just weird here. Up in Illinois, this woman built a 9/11 memorial on her property. The town has now ordered her to take it down. Apparently somebody doesn't like being reminded about 9/11. And Ilhan Omar, her husband, has decided he now wants a divorce. After all, the news about them being married, cheating the immigration, and apparently there's been some infidelity. And so the husband now wants a divorce. He wants out of that. Okay. Anyway, speaking of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's pretty sure that Hurricane Dorian hates poor people. Certainly after looking what it did to the Bahamas, the visual certainly would support that. But hurricanes don't hate. They're just a weather phenomenon. Apparently Ben & Jerry has a new flavor called Justice Remixed. Scott Adams is out there with, bad gun control arguments and Hollywood blacklisting, of which, we remember the McCarthy era and the Hollywood blacklists, or if you're my age, you remember that stuff here. Scarlett Johansson is supporting Elizabeth Warren for 2020. And so she's out there doing the support. And apparently they have brought back Jane Fonda. Hanoi Jane is out there stumping around trying to get the swing voters to vote against Trump next year. So they're doing the full court press out there. And apparently they're hitting the panic button because the Democrats are losing union support to President Trump. And mostly that has to do with the fact that the far left is not really working class. And they see themselves as intellectual elites. By and large, they don't join unions. So, and by the way, it's rather amazing coming from Hawaii, which is very liberal, to Indiana, which is very conservative. And it's a very pleasant surprise and pleasant shock. All of a sudden, everybody around here agrees with me. Let's see. There's another one of these Tempest in a Teacup. Apparently, there's this wedding chapel down in Mississippi that refuses to do gay or mixed race weddings. That one is definitely going to ignite a lawsuit. And their excuse is that there is a Christian race, which is okay for them to say because sometimes Judaism is a race and sometimes it's a religion here. So, let's see. Apparently, a British mother was arrested in jail for 7 hours after calling a transgender activist the wrong gender. That is such nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. Alrighty, economic news here. Apparently, the retail apocalypse is going on. I got an email from somebody saying Fry's Electronics is in trouble. They're going to go out of business. And so far, not really seeing it here. Certainly was seeing it back in Hawaii when we left. Oil prices are getting ready to drop sharply to compete with electric vehicles. So that will be good. And by the way, until our car shows up, Claire and I are driving a Prius. So we get to do that one. PayPal has suspended the account of the Ku Klux Klan. And apparently that didn't win them any friends. They were criticized for not having done it sooner. Over in Nashville, there's a Catholic school has now banned the Harry Potter series of books because its content risks conjuring evil spirits. All right. Getting back over to Texas, apparently a school district took harsh action against a student over an old photo. We're talking going back a ways of a student holding a handgun. There was no real gun. It was just a picture of a gun. But this knee-jerk liberal response to all things weapon, if you will. And it was actually a little bit of a problem for us as well because I have this no longer functional Hawken carbine that I hang as a fireplace decoration. And the shipping company where we were having them ship all the stuff that was missed by the mover, the owner is anti-gun and wouldn't allow the gun to be shipped. So they packed it for me, and they did a really nice job of it. And we had to basically take it over to another UPS store and get it sent that way here. Now, here's an interesting little story. And I'm kind of sensitive to this because Claire finally got me to have a doctor check under the hood. And I'm dealing with a vitamin deficiency, which we're going to fix tomorrow. But apparently there was this 17-year-old boy who lived chips, processed ham, and because of a severe vitamin deficiency, he has gone blind. He's now 19. He had not eaten any fruits or vegetables in a decade. That really is a very unhealthy diet. And sometimes you need to pay attention to what you're eating. Treat your body like it is a temple. And especially as you get OLDER. Apparently, Tesla had a little bit of a goof. The app went down to open the cars. And I didn't realize that it was networked somehow. But apparently Tesla owners were locked out of their cars as the app went down. And getting back to gun, Alyssa Milano is out there saying, which passage of the Bible says it's a God-given right to own a gun? I mean, some of the arguments they come up with here, obviously the Bible was written before there was such a thing as firearms. But Jesus did say, sell your clothes and buy a sword. So it is mentioned that you should be armed and ready to defend yourself. Lebanon has declared a state of economic emergency. And this is a bizarre statistic. Patience thresholds are lower than ever before. The average person is frustrated after waiting just 16 seconds. Now, there was that horrible fire near the shoreline of Santa Cruz Island, California, 75-foot commercial diving boat called the, with a C. Well, I can't remember the name of it. I read it earlier today. And the boat caught on fire and sank in 64 feet of water. It's killed 34 people. They're still looking for one more unaccounted for survivor. Apparently, there are 5 bodies that are trapped inside the bottom deck, and rescuers can't get to it. So that was a mess. I've been to Santa Cruz Island. I used to do a lot of sailing in those waters here. Shame here. Okay. Things going on in Great Britain. Boris Johnson had the rug pulled out from under him. The Remainers got one Brexit member of parliament to flip sides and basically took away Boris's majority. And they've just held another vote to block a no-deal Brexit. And it passed on that vote. So, yeah, Boris's no-deal Brexit is in serious, serious trouble. And, British Parliament advances bill that would block no-deal Brexit. What a long time that has gone on for. So apparently Piers Morgan was mimicking screeching remoaner Connie Hug on GMB after the former Blue Peter presenter exploded at a fellow guest in a heated Brexit debate on the show. People their emotions are just, they're just so caught up in all of this stuff here. Over in New York City, Mayor de Blasio apparently worked just 7 hours for the entire month. There's your taxpayer dollars at work here. More recession signals flashing red. China's currency has its worst month in 25 years. Oh, and another one about Jeffrey Epstein. The millionaire model agency boss and close friend of Jeffrey Epstein, who was thought to have information on the Epstein case, has disappeared. And apparently this is tied up with those 3 12-year-old girls flown in from France and delivered to Jeffrey Epstein as a birthday present. So I still don't understand that behavior. 12. I mean, 12 years old. How do you do that? Apparently, Kamala Harris is not doing as well. I mean, we're starting to see the thinning out, the dropout of the Democratic candidates here. And Kamala is basically drew a pretty small crowd when she was up in New Hampshire. So, yeah, we're going to start seeing a lot of these candidates start to drop on out. I'm still hearing rumors of a draft Hillary movement, which I would hate to see happen. Okay. Apparently, People magazine actually tweeted out a picture of Kim Kardashian in the Bahamas before the hurricane. They've now deleted it. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. Join us on the air, and we'll be right back.
Republic Broadcasting Network depends on listener support of our advertisers and of our sponsors. We'd like to especially thank all of you who have taken advantage of our fundraiser with FrontSight Bonus. Those who are now FrontSight members, please train as soon as possible for your sake and for that of our nation. And please consider sharing your training and what you've learned when you arrive home. Republic Broadcasting Network has to stop promoting this fundraiser on air and on the website in just a few days. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, president of FrontSight, made a gracious exception to his no media rule for us at Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank you, Dr. Piazza. And once you've been to FrontSight, feel free to call your favorite host and share your experience on the air. We can continue this fundraiser without media help, but it'll be totally up to the listeners to spread the information. Please call Dan Sutterfield in Missouri at 573-465-2356, 573-465-2356. That's 573-465-2356.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And again, a reminder that RBN will not exist without your support. And it doesn't get any plainer than that. Obviously, we're very grateful to FrontSight that they're doing that promotion again, but that has a finite time on it. Anyway, our phone number is 800-313-9443, and we have a caller on the line, Philip in Virginia. Aloha, Philip. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, all right. I guess I get the status of being your first caller since you've started on the mainland here.
That's true, and you know, download a prize.
I'll take one of your hideously overpriced coffee mugs.
Okay, well, you're going to have to email me your postal address, and I got to tell you right now, my mailbox on this laptop is just incredibly full, and for some reason, the instructions to delete old mail under Windows 10 for the mail application won't work. That's Windows 10 for you. So put prize mug in capital lines in the subject line, and we'll get something for you.
Well, I was in jest because I already have one. And,
okay.
Anyway, so much for high tech, huh? With your problems there with Windows 10 and all that mess.
Well, actually, it's been working pretty good. Getting this little portable broadcast thing set up, but I am missing my main, normal setup that I work with, where I've got the mixer and the headset, and we can put Claire on the air. But most importantly, I'm missing that second screen, which is normally where I'd put my talking points in order, so that I can focus on the news from, based on the story instead of I am right now. But in theory, sometime this week, our stuff is going to start showing up here.
Well, I trust that you'll get back to your comfort zone real soon, and welcome back to the mainland. But you were really covering some heavy topics here at the opening of your, I guess this is your first live broadcast too, since you hit the mainland.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look forward to many more. But I mean, I just cannot comprehend, and you alluded to, the mentality of these people when you were talking about the individual who is suddenly missing. That was the procurer or instrumental in the birthday gift.
Yes.
Of 12-year-old girls from Mr. Epstein. I mean, this is outrageous. It is infuriating.
I think we're going to see more people disappear, more witnesses disappearing, and hopefully they've just fled, gone underground rather than being killed. But apparently there are a lot of people who are just absolutely scared about these upcoming data dumps, because apparently Ghislaine Maxwell told a judge actually earlier today that there are hundreds of people named in what is expected to be 2,000 pages of documents ordered unsealed by the Federal Appeals Court in New York. Now, that's the court that everybody's rushing to, saying, no, you can't unseal that. I'll be embarrassed. And the court has ordered the documents released because it comes from this 2015 defamation lawsuit in New York brought by Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Joffrey against Maxwell. So,
well, I wonder how long Maxwell's going to remain above ground, because she is a pathetic person and case as well.
Yes.
And RBN had an article about it, about the ties of Epstein to the intelligence agency.
Yes.
Why hasn't anybody followed up with that? I want to know which intelligence agency was he working for? Was this a unilateral operation? Was it multilateral? I mean, what is wrong with this picture? And there's no coverage of this. And
no, they don't want people thinking about it. But, use of sexual lures and blackmail is a very old part of spycraft. And apparently, Epstein's job over the last however many years he was doing it was to do that, was to lay these little lured traps, lure in these very powerful people, get them in compromising positions in order to control them. And I think a lot of people would be very concerned to find out that their local mayor or chief of police or whatever was being controlled by Epstein. Anyway, stay on the line. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking with Philip in Virginia. And to sort of back up on this other story, there's this guy, Jean-Luc Brunel, and he basically runs a modeling agency called MC2, where these French girls, these 12-year-olds, worked. And he flew them in to Epstein as a birthday present. And apparently he has now disappeared. And apparently he had such a reputation of abusing his models. 60 Minutes did a segment on him some years ago. And apparently Brunel received $1 million from Jeff Epstein around the time he started the agency. So the question is, was this Jean-Luc actually working for Epstein, part of his little blackmail network? And I think there's a lot of dirt to dig out there, and I'm in agreement. I'd like to know which intelligence agencies were availing themselves of Epstein's services. It may have been all of them. It may have been Mossad, may have been CIA, may have been, who knows, NSA. Could be MI6. We don't really know.
Yeah, and will we ever know? If Trump is true blue, we will get to the bottom of it. But before we go further, I want to give a shameless plug. We were talking about your hideously overpriced products on your website.
Yep.
And this issue of funding is serious business, and it's too bad, that we don't have someone. We're the righteous rich people in this world that would help bankroll and finance and support, real news organizations, like yours and RBN and the like. It's sad, but it reminds me of a story here. I've got your What Really Happened mug. It says, "This is an economic stimulus mug, and it cost $50 and created 14,647 jobs." And I was sitting at the breakfast table with her granddaughter a while ago, and she looked at it and she said, she couldn't wrap her mind around it, and it gave me the opportunity to explain, the common cause and the greater goal and all of that,
Yes.
So, do you have any? Because I know how you have a soft spot for children. She's
Yes.
10 years old, and what would you say to her? About your economic stimulus mug.
Well, like everything else that's in that online store, it's an attempt at humor. And, it's for people who think and who have a good grasp of what's actually going on.
All right. Well, I'll share that with her. I think we're going to have her this weekend. They usually come over every other weekend. But anyway, another thing I wanted to mention about and talk about is this situation here that this slow motion train wreck with regards to gun control that we're
Yes.
They're getting ready to shove down our throats. Convenient story today. AP says their anonymous source that the Texas shooter purchased the rifle at a private sale. What we're seeing here is the setup that they're going to be going after the private sales. I mean, this is what's playing out right before our eyes, folks. So get ready for it.
Well, there's a lot of states have already banned private sales. You have to take the firearm to a licensed firearm dealer who will actually carry out the transaction for you, for which they get a piece of the action. That's certainly the case here in Hawaii, and I don't know what the rules are here in Indiana. It's not high on my list of things to be studying right now. I got to get the driver's manual first and make sure that rolling stops are allowed here.
Yeah, I know you got to get re-educated, I guess.
Yes.
But it says in this article, the official spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to talk about an ongoing investigation. So it sounds like to me that the AP should not have run this story except if they have an ulterior motive or an agenda.
Yes.
That they want to push. This is so sickening, and among other things. But anyway, before I let you go, I just want to ask your other audience, a lot of your regular callers, when you're on a roll, when you've got a punchline coming, let Michael finish his punchline. When you're talking about, the evil Vladimir Putin, and he's all this and all that. And if you are someone, a frequent caller like Art Off the Grid or Mark or, all your great callers, please consider the quality of your call, because what we do here, our battle in the InfoWars, we have a daily broadcast as well, and we replay sound bites of your broadcast or John's or other information that we come across, and it helps with the clarity and everything. So And one of the things that I mentioned, I wanted to play before you went on break, Art Off the Grid called, and I think you guys overreacted about that Walmart situation where the guy came in with open carry.
Yeah.
Because he explained why he did what he did. I think it was ill-advised. I
agree.
No doubt about that. But he proved his point. And there was a lot of lessons that we learned about that, because the idiot manager of the store is the one that pulled the emergency alarm that created the whole situation. And the man was not causing a problem. He was just shopping, and he called the store. These are details that are left out in some of the news reports. And he called the store and asked if it was he was going to have any problem with the open carry in the store, and they said no. It's state law. You can do that. But I guess they lied to him. Or I guess it is, even though it's a state law, they're not going to honor it, and we're finding that out now.
Certainly, the manager didn't, and again, knee-jerk liberal reaction. They're trying to get people to react to firearms on a purely emotional level. That's why they have those drills in the schools where they'll come in with the SWAT team and fire off a bunch of fireworks. They're not training the kids to deal with a shooter situation. They're traumatizing the kids because they want the kids to just break into tears when they see a firearm in the future.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They're accomplishing their goal, and that is so sad. That I wanted to play that segment with your conversation with Art on the broadcast, but sometimes he just, I don't know what it is with his phone, but it seems like there's an audio problem there. But anyway, I appreciate him and all your other callers and everything. Appreciate your time, and you have a great rest of the program.
All right, well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go and switch over to Joe in Brooklyn. Joe, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. A previous caller, he mentioned rich people that don't donate. Well, as a person that was involved in 9/11 Truth and other Ron Paul and ending the Fed, any seriously rich person that starts making big donations is going to all of a sudden find himself being audited.
Yeah.
I mean, the deep state monitors everything, and rich people know which lines they can cross and which lines they can't. And most of them, their major priority is their money, hence how they got rich. And they're not going to take a chance, even though they might totally agree with us. I mean, when I used to do the 9/11 Truth stuff, I used to get winks and nods from some real powerful, important people, but they wouldn't go out on a limb. They wouldn't put anything at risk. So it's just one of the things. It's kind of like all the people that are really educated, the architects, some of them talk about it, but most of them just not, they kind of know you're telling the truth, but they don't want to get involved. They don't want to take a chance. They got their cushy life.
Yep.
And that's the one thing I learned about 9/11 was the people that should have spoke out didn't. And it took sailors and crazy people like me and, the oddballs. We're the only ones that were out in the street, and we're the only ones that came up for the country and justice. Whereas the people involved in justice, the people that go around talking about how they serve us, they didn't do anything. They're pathetic. The firemen, they stand around and the police in New York. I'm in New York now. I'm in Brooklyn. Normally I live in Tennessee. I'm at the shipyard here. And I just wanted to comment on that. And to me, it kind of reinforces my belief on immigrants. All the hard jobs here in the shipyard are being done by immigrants.
Okay.
There's Africans here. There's Dominicans here. They're Mexicans. They're Koreans. And the white guys kind of walk around with clipboards in management. And I've always believed that when it comes to immigrants, I like immigrants coming to this country, but I want them to come like my grandfather came. And they had to be sponsored, and they have to work. There was no welfare, no free medical. They did a medical check and they did a criminal check. And like I said, what I've figured from walking around Brooklyn and walking by housing projects and stuff is that these immigrants are the ones that are working are contributing. You know, they're doing jobs that Americans won't do, and they're doing them well, and they're very pleasant, nice people. I mean, the ones I've been talking to. Whereas Brooklyn itself, you know, walking through the housing projects and that dysfunction, it's insane. I mean, I see people walking around literally with no underwear with their butts hanging out. It's unbelievable. Every day I see something crazy here. And it's like I told my mom, the day that I don't notice anything crazy is probably the time for me to leave, you know? But,
Yeah.
you know, it's really an interesting, like, reflection on what's going on. They're attempting to, like, rehabilitate this area, and it looks, you know, they're building nice buildings, but there's still an underclass, and there's some real hostility. I mean, I walk back to my hotel to the shipyard, and I've had black people threaten me and call me effing faggot. And, you know, I'm the last thing from looking like a faggot. I'm walking around wearing, you know, work clothes and stuff. And, you know, I think that that has to be addressed. I find the immigrants a welcome sight when I'm walking past housing projects. And, you know, and once again, this area it's really a shame that they have that underclass of, and they're hostile, and it's because of they've kind of downloaded the virus of their discrimination and all the years of being told how bad white people have been to them and how unfair life is. They've been damaged by that. You know,
Yes.
It hasn't
become
hurt
part
me,
of their
it's hurt
identity.
them.
It's
And
part
it's
of their
sad
identity
because-
now.
Yeah, they can't spot the opportunity that's staring them in the face. Whereas these immigrants come here and they see it and they're working and they're non-resentful, you know? So I just, I have like mixed emotions, like positive, and then I see the negative, and the negative part is very depressing. And, but you know, once again, this area really is kind of up and coming as far as lots of cranes and lots of work, but we'll see, you know? But when it comes to immigrants, I stand by what I say. I mean, if they're going to work and they don't, you know, you cancel their ability to get on welfare and everything, then I think, you know, they're very productive, very productive. But other than that, when it comes to Epstein, I mean, the guy was CIA. He's probably still alive somewhere. And
I think
when you
he
talk
is.
about that,
I don't think
talk
he's.
about Maxwell. No, I'm sorry for interrupting, but go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I think Epstein is alive. I think he's either in Israel or he's down in the Cayman Islands playing canasta with Ken Lay. But I think that was the only way for people to avoid the publicity of a trial and not fire off Epstein's dead man switches. They just staged that whole thing to get him out of that prison.
Yeah, and I think that the lady Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, her father was CIA, I mean, MI6 and Mossad, and
Yes.
she's obviously that picture of her in front of the In-N-Out burger reading a book about the CIA, like hence In-N-Out of the CIA.
Yep.
I mean, she's sending messages. But to me, when it comes to Trump and this, and also with the FBI and FISA, if he doesn't like bring this out, like, and start frog marching in indictments before the election, he's a phony. I mean, I'm being very patient with Trump, but they call me and ask for money. I said, why should I give him money? He's got all the cards now to destroy his enemies, whether it's through Epstein, that's a group of enemies, elite that he can destroy, and also with the FISA and all the corruption in the FBI. So he's got the two clubs to beat the deep state into submission. Now, if he does, and I think if he does do that, it'll be before the election, I'm all for it. If he doesn't, I will totally like turn on him because I know he's a phony and a fake. So, you know, let's just see what he does. I try to be patient with presidents because I know what they're up against if they do rebel against the deep state, hence John F. Kennedy. So
Yes.
We'll see. But if he doesn't do anything with Epstein or the deep state Justice Department and all that scandal, then you know the fix is in, and I just give up all hope with Trump. But I'm waiting. I'm going to give him, like I said, to the election.
You know, there's another possibility, and that, of course, is that Trump himself was snared by Jeff Epstein's honey trap operation.
That's possible, but I think the whole Epstein thing came out because of Ehud Barak and Netanyahu. I think that's this whole Epstein thing is a bit of a favor from the nationalist Israelis to Trump. I think Epstein was an Israeli plant, and I think they have a lot of enemies. The Netanyahu and Trump are buddies, and there's a lot of Israelis that love Trump, and this is like a gift to him. And that's my theory. Now we'll see if it's true or not by how it all plays out. But that's kind of my theory on what I think is going to happen.
It's not much of a gift if it results in Trump not getting reelected. Anyway, listen, Joe, we got to let you go. We've got more callers waiting on the line. The phone lines are full. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are really loaded up, so let's go to Mark in Florida. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thank you for letting me in, Mike, and I hope you and your bride get to enjoy your new soon-coming climate change.
Yeah.
And you moved about 100 miles away from Terre Haute, home of my favorite current historian worldwide and U.S. Common lawyer and author, Brent Allen Winters.
Okay.
Just a fabulous man. My question to you was, what are your thoughts on the coverage of the elaborate funeral of Jeffrey Epstein in Jerusalem, or was it Tel Aviv or Argentina? Or
Well, nobody
when
really.
they buried him at sea by.
Nobody really knows because supposedly he was entombed in a mausoleum with his parents, and then the identification marks of the mausoleum were all removed because they didn't want people vandalizing it. So we don't know exactly where he was buried.
Yeah, I was thinking, or maybe by Osama bin Laden, under the sea. But it's just amazing that there's no coverage of his funeral and well-wishers or detractors.
Yeah, I think that would have been bad TV. I certainly wouldn't have tuned in to watch that, and of course I don't like funerals in general, but definitely I wouldn't have tuned in to watch Epstein's funeral.
No, but it's just my thoughts is no announcement of anything of it. It's like you didn't die, Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your observations here. And unless you have something else, I'd like to let you go and move on to some of our other callers. Okay, apparently he dropped, so let's go to Steve in West Virginia. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I just want to say congrats to getting to Indiana.
Yeah.
I've got two things for you today. Okay. The first one is at about noon today, I called into the White House switchboard and talked to one of the operators there to tell them my displeasure about, all this gun control talk.
Yeah.
And why they are not doing any kind of investigation on Epstein. And here's what the guy told me. It shocked me. He said, so he agreed with me for one thing. He said, but you're going to be the American people, you and the American people are going to be very surprised because Jeff Sessions, apparently, what he told me is Jeff Sessions has done some early work on Epstein that nobody knows about. And what he told me is we are going to be surprised. He said, you think all the evidence is being destroyed? He goes, the American people are going to be in for surprised. And he said, don't worry about the gun control. Okay, now the other thing I want to talk to you about.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to put you on hold, Steve. I'm going to have to put you on hold for station identification. Stay on the line. We'll be right back.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are pretty much open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to go back to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, you had something else you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, first I want to say thanks to you, and especially True News and Whitney Webb. There has been some great investigative reporting on Epstein and all the connections, and possibly, the intelligence networks in regards to, blackmail, spying.
Yeah.
But I want to specifically point out to some of your callers, especially Mark from North Carolina and possibly Dustin, because I know both of these guys have talked about the Duran. Now, the Duran as a good source of information, I'm a little skeptical, because on several occasions the Duran has come out and told people that it's not connected to any type of intelligence, spying, blackmail ring by the CIA or Mossad, that Epstein acted alone for his own self-interest on this. And anybody that believes that is a fool. And the other thing is, Alex Jones is telling people that it's the Chicoms is behind Epstein. So there's something really wrong with Alex Jones. That guy is really compromised. For him to come out and tell all the people that the Chicoms are behind Epstein, if you believe that, you got to be a fool. And then the one last thing is there's a guy out there called the X-22 report. That's another shill for, I don't know if it's for Israel or what it's for, but that guy, he never ever mentions the intelligence networks as far as being behind anything. It's always, it's just like a shill network. So I would caution your listeners to be careful of the Duran, Alex Jones, and the X-22 report, because these guys can cleverly disguise themselves as truth agents, but some of them are putting out disinfo.
Yeah.
So other than that, please watch True News and Whitney Webb. Whitney Webb has been fantastic, and you should get her as a possible guest later when you get settled down.
Okay.
That's all I got for you, Mike.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go and switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
First of all, Mike, how was your trip? Second of all, how's the internet speeds over there?
It's a heck of a lot better than it was in Hawaii, and I'm on a Wi-Fi setup here. So
you're coming in pretty good too.
Yeah, it's definitely better than we had, and we had a hard line in the house. But this is definitely working a lot better, and we're going to make sure that we have this quality or better when we finally move into our residence, as it were. As far as the trip itself, it was exhausting. The jet lag was, I'm still dealing with the jet lag. And again, though, we've hit the ground running. We got our banking business done. We got our post office box keys. We've viewed about 6 houses so far. And, we're getting ready to make a selection, as it were.
But you didn't get all your boxes yet, so you got to still be worried about that, right?
No, I don't know how many of them come here, because we sent them up to another member of the family. This is a large family in this area, and we're staying with one set of people, and our stuff got sent to another set of people because we didn't want to inconvenience just, one family. So we picked the relative with the most room in their man cave, and we sent all the boxes there. And in theory, our car should be here any day. But this was a rough trip, and I told Claire, we're not moving ever again. We're going to die here in Santa Claus.
Hi, Mike. Real quick, though, on Epstein, I don't really want to talk about him. He was a conduit. Ghislaine Maxwell was his handler. He was the conduit to all the intelligence agencies. It's a unilateral operation. The French, the British, the United States, the Israelis, and Saudi Arabia, because didn't they find a passport in his safe from Saudi Arabia? So he was linked to all these. They're all sharing information to do a blackmail operation. That's how it works. That's why you'll on Jeff Epstein with he was part of that operation.
Yeah.
He was the middleman, to blackmail. That's why you had that guy from France sending the 12-year-olds over. And you don't think French intelligence knew about this guy, this modeling it, and they didn't do anything about it after all this time? All these intelligence agents didn't do anything after all this time, after years and years. So they're all involved in it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. And they covered it up. And he's not dead. He's sipping suds somewhere. And then
I agree with you on that one.
Okay, and on your caller you just had, I gotta disagree with him. True News is good, but I put everything I own to back the Duran. Now the Duran said, the Duran people on the Duran go by like facts. We're going by, I think he was part of it. There's no proof he was, but I believe he was. You know what I mean? There's a difference than real facts coming out about Epstein or who he was. I believe he was because that's what I see. But I'll stand by the Duran because I think it's one of the most best things for in technically to get involved into politics and stuff. And I'll back that show up because Peter Lavelle from Crosstalk is on there.
Yeah.
And people who watch the Duran know. And then do I still have some time? Because I wanted to skip over to...
Yeah, you still have a little bit of time. We've got one more caller waiting patiently, but go ahead.
Mike, what's your take for the third time they dropped down the GDP numbers to 1.7%? We went from 2 point something, 3?
Yeah.
To 2. Now it's 1.7. The whole thing is a fraud. Trump's a fraud. He said he was going to fix this, fix that. The indictments are coming. Nothing's coming. The economy's not great. And did you see the manufacturing index? It's lowest since 2009.
Yep.
Nothing's good, man. Like, Trump is not fixing anything. It seems like he's just there for it to just continue the way it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just no improvement. But the problem is it's getting worse.
Yes.
You'll probably talk about the numbers later, but how do you go, Mike, though, from 2.3 to 2 and then 1.7? So, there's something going on here. Like, how can you reduce? And remember the number, the 500,000 less in 2018, the 500,000 less jobs that were created that they claim. That comes out to 40,000 less jobs a month for every month in 2018.
Yes.
And that's coming from the Fed numbers for what, the Philly Fed or the St. Louis, whatever it is. But but Trump put all these people in though, didn't he? That's why I keep going back to Trump has put all these people in, from Mike Pompeo to Bolton to what's the dude running the Federal Reserve now? Powell.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is your take on all these numbers? Like, what's going on here? Like, it's all a rigged fraud game, right? Like, it's just any number they give you. And
I think the economy is. I think the economy is, obviously headed downhill, and Trump doesn't want people thinking about that going into an election year. And when Trump was first running back in 2016, I said, I think what's going to happen is if Trump wins, the Democrats will basically try and wreck the economy, and then they'll blame Trump for it.
I just don't understand why they put numbers out and then a lesser amount of numbers and then another lesser amount of numbers. You know, I mean, what's the real number? Maybe it's 1%, or maybe we're in negative territory. Maybe it's actually negative GDP growth.
Well, this is something we've seen government reports do before. Well, they'll put out a number that looks really, really good, and the news media will say, "Oh, look, it's a really good-looking number," and then down the road they'll say, "Well, we're having to revise the numbers," and they'll come out with something a little bit more realistic, and the corporate media will pretty much ignore it.
And then right before I get off the phone, Mike, did you see the deal with Russia and India? They're going to trade in their own currencies. Like,
yes,
they're going to bypass the dollar, and they got 25 new trade deals. And Modi called him, Putin, his best friend now. So, Hi, Mike. Have a good show, and I hope you have a great life in Indiana. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. We're going to let you go and switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Aloha, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hello, Michael. I wanted to bring up about the American foreign aid, because that's what it ultimately is, to the people of the Bahamas because of the result of Hurricane Dorian.
Yes.
You know, the Bahamas used to be a protectorate or a commonwealth under the British up until 1973.
Yes.
They even have their military is called, I think, the Royal Bahamian Defense Forces, and the head of that Navy is the Queen of England.
Yes.
And so my point is, you know, you hear a lot about the Monroe Doctrine.
Yes.
Now, of course, you know, the British are right directly and heavily influential directly north of us in Canada. But when it comes to a foreign military in our hemisphere, the British are right there in the Bahamas. Now, the Bahamas also, we know, is a great place for American businesses to dodge taxes and offshore within one short plane flight from the U.S. mainland. And so my point is, I'm already hearing about American aid going to the Bahamas.
Yes.
I'm hearing about the military going to help the Bahamas. And so why are we doing Great Britain's work for them? I mean, we always talk about dual allegiances and, these prolonged alliances that George Washington warned about in his farewell address. And here we are bailing out a British, former colony.
Well, first of all, if you go back and you look at the experience we had with Haiti following that monster quake, the money that was being sent on in there supposedly to assist the Haitian people was in fact used to buy up all the assets at rock bottom prices. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen again in the Bahamas is, businessmen are going to go down there with all that money and they're going to talk to the people and say, look, your house is wrecked. We'll buy the land off of you for a small amount of money so that you can start over somewhere else and start putting together these large lots of ground on which to build resorts. I think that's what's going to happen.
And so are we going to be accepting the refugees en masse into the United States whenever there's a disaster in any of these Caribbean islands, at least in the case of Puerto Rico, that's, considered part of the United States?
Yes.
But in this case, this should be really a British endeavor, and let them pay for it, let them accept the refugees and rebuild it, because the Bahamas does not pay taxes into the United States, treasury.
Yes.
And so I just see this as, again, an indifference to the case of American taxpayers, and also, these populations, I don't know what the birth rate in these populations is in the Bahamas. But I mean, whenever there's a disaster forever and ever, their surplus population may be because the land really isn't intent to maintaining 300,000 people on it.
Yes.
I mean, whenever there's a disaster and they build houses that are substandard that can't tolerate a hurricane, and yet we get their surplus population forever. I guess that's the way it works.
I guess so.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about this thing. And I don't hear anything about the media because, of course, I'm callous and I'm cold-hearted because I'm sorry. I like to keep I think about the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And I think about the money spent on, our Coast Guard helicopters flying over there using American fuel, right? We're going to be paying for that fuel to fly that helicopter or those airplanes. We're going to be paying for the naval ships and shipping in the supplies and giving them bottled water and the food and, probably setting up their infrastructure once again. And what do I get for it other than they're going to charge me extra for my martini when I go over to one of their resorts in maybe 5 years? Is that what I get?
Yeah, that's going to be about what it is. That from the business point of view, it's a chance to completely rebuild the place. And the reason the Americans are sending the money in is to maintain their control over that island. If the British were to come on in, the British would basically exert their control over it, and the U.S. would lose out. So that's why the U.S. is already out there moving expeditiously to get money into the Bahamas.
Yeah, no. In a sense, if it's going to be a constant, another one of many of those perpetual welfare states in the Caribbean, why don't we just roll in the military and annex it and say it's part of the United States now and make it a state then, if that's going to be the case?
Well, that would
pay for it anyway.
That would immediately open up the borders, and it would be the situation like we have with Puerto Rico, where they're just pouring into the United States, and our cities are already overstressed. The infrastructure has not been keeping up with the growth in population. And so I think basically the U.S. sees more economic advantage, certainly the businessmen do see more of an economic advantage if they are not part of the United States, because as you point out, they're not going to be paying any taxes.
Exactly. So, and again, it's we in the middle, we get nothing from it. I don't see how it benefits us. And in a sense, I'm saying this could be a potential opportunity. But, as always, the opportunity will be just our taxes, again, helping generally ungrateful foreigners, right, with our largesse to help them, and then set up the unsustainable life of so many people crammed in right in the path of these hurricanes on a regular basis.
Yes.
And I really do think it's almost unnatural, unless, of course, maybe they could build their houses next time out of rebar and concrete that can withstand, Category 4 hurricanes, and they could feed themselves.
The problem is cost. The problem is the cost. I mean, it is known how to build hurricane-proof houses. In fact, I remember the last big one to hit Florida, there was this amazing photograph where this guy had built this house right on the beach, and he'd spent the money to make it able to sustain a Category 5 storm. And it was, of course, the only building still standing, and it was in perfect, pristine shape. It can be done. The thing is, people who are building houses don't have that kind of money. What they want to spend the money on is square footage and more room and other amenities. And they just sort of roll the dice on the fact of the hurricanes coming on in. But as you say, yes, they are inevitable. They show up. I mean, everywhere you live, there's going to be a problem. California, you get earthquakes. Hawaii, you get volcanoes and tsunamis. Here, I guess you get tornadoes. I'm not sure yet. But every place you live, there's going to be an issue.
Although, actually, in the East Coast, no, we don't get much in the East Coast, to be honest. I don't have many, where I live, not many disasters. One last thing, though, concerning the Bahamians, I wanted to touch upon, is that, they're a separate nation. They have their own government. It's a parliamentarian form of government. Why didn't they take their people and, all right, their houses are substandard, many of the houses, but they have these big, giant resort buildings. You ever see that picture? One there's huge, and that building is made out of concrete, and it can house thousands. Why don't they, during these places, I mean, they're a separate nation. They're supposedly, by the way, on a per capita basis, they're the wealthiest on per capita of all the nations in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Right? And so why don't they house their people in the resorts temporarily during these hurricanes? And again, do
we know for a fact they did not? I mean,
I would absolutely be certain just from watching the videos. Right.
All right.
I think they have the money, and resources. Anyway, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Paul, we got to let you go here. We got to take another break for commercials. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Here at Front Sight, my experience has been amazing. I've been here now 2 days. I have a 2-day course. I have a 4-day course. Because of my schedule, I took the 2-day course. And I'm just learning so much about the operation of a firearm, the safety of a firearm, how to hold it properly, how to shoot it, how many times to shoot. So much stuff that I had no idea about. The instructors were patient. They were very calm. They recognize that people are inexperienced, and I certainly am and was. I'm better now than I was 2 days ago. But they take your time. You can ask the dumbest question, and Lord knows I asked a number of them, and they very patiently responded. So you just know a lot more about safety, about protecting yourself and protecting your loved ones, which is what this is all about. I took the course with my girlfriend, Nina. It was a lot of fun. And one of the things that they do is they have you train with somebody else like Nina. Nina's behind me. We both hear the same instruction. And so if I miss something, she can correct me. If she misses something, I can correct her. It also makes you feel more relaxed because you're with somebody you know, and you're with another person who knows about as much or about as little as you know. And so when they fumble around and you're watching them, you don't feel quite as stupid if you fumble around. You can also watch somebody get better and better as you've gotten better and better. So you have some sort of bar so you can tell how much better you're getting. The other thing is it's just a collegial atmosphere. Nobody felt pressured. Nobody felt stressed. Nobody was screamed at. And some people had been here before. Others were coming here for the very first time. It was a lot of fun and a lot of different people coming from different parts of the country. And I met a lot of interesting people since I've been here. One of the reasons I wanted to come to Front Sight is because I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment, which is the right to keep and bear arms. People don't really quite understand what the Second Amendment means often. I learned the difference between the kinds of firearms that civilians use that are protected by the Second Amendment and those that are not. The other thing is, what this place shows you is that the Founding Fathers got it right when they felt that the best way to secure a guarantee against a tyrannical government is an armed citizenry. And everybody here is armed. Yet people are responsible. They know what they're doing. They know how to use firearms. And there was no sense of danger whatsoever here. I think that's what the Founding Fathers thought. They thought that everybody, ages, I think it was 17 to 45 or so, were part of the citizen militia, the citizen army, not government army, but citizen army, in order to protect against a tyrannical government. And it shows you in an environment right here at Front Sight that people who are armed, who are responsible, are in fact safe people and can make the environment even more safe. One of the great things about Front Sight, assuming that, for example, you're a teacher and you are thinking about carrying concealed, they will simulate what it's like for a bad guy to come into a classroom so the teacher can have a sort of real world type of experience and know how to respond and know how to react. He also will provide a free course for any teacher who wants to take one. Come here and you'll see for yourself. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. So I urge anybody who's got a firearm, anybody who's thinking about getting a firearm, to come to Front Sight and take a course.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're going to go back to the phone lines to W in Texas. Aloha, W. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to talk about censorship, and I want to talk about the social credit. So real quick, yesterday, the gentleman over in Austin, Mr. Jones, he had a really good breakdown of the censorship that's happening. He mentioned the military is going to be looking at saying that memes are a security threat, essentially, just like simple memes. But,
yeah.
But I think people really should understand where all this comes from, and I'm sure you know about it. It all really starts with that 2013 NDA Act when they undid the Smith-Mundt Act. I'm reading this. The Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act of 1987. Those were propaganda laws, basically saying Congress basically said that our own government cannot propaganda U.S. domestic public and do that to other countries. And this was during the Cold War. So you could do that to other countries, with like the Voice of America and all that, but you couldn't do that for 65 years to the domestic public. But in 2013 or 2012, they undid that law, which allowed our own government to basically literally disinform and misinform the American public. So that's really where it starts. But then the second part of that is in 2016, in December, they passed the 2016 NDAA, which created this, what is called Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act, which basically was saying it was really a cover. And that's how the whole Russia thing kind of came together, because they were saying, well, Russia is doing this and doing that, but it's really just a cover. And it was saying, well, different countries are going to be propagandizing our public, so we have to go into websites and social media and say, well, this is a troll here and a troll there, but it's really just a cover to begin censorship of just influential people on the internet. And so that's really what's been happening the last 7 or 8 years. And so with this whole recent thing about the military saying, well, we have to go against memes, that's all where this is coming from. And then, of course, so the second part of this is Mr. Jones, again, he's been on fire. He said today he was talking about Trump is looking at this HARPA thing, which is basically social media. We know how all our tech gadgets are already basically spying on us all the time. So it's a new initiative called HARPA, and it's basically with the Department of Human and Health Services, which is saying that which is basically going to train of thought there. It's basically going to have a separate budget in that department to sorry, 1 second. Okay, here we go. This HARPA is called the Health Advanced Resource Projects Agency, which will be located inside of the Health and Human Services Department. Yes. Have a separate budget, and the president will be responsible for this. So this would be this is launching a social credit score style system in coordination with big tech that will use spy data collected from Amazon, Google, Apple devices, etc., to determine whether or not an individual can own a gun. That was my point. It's a social credit score like they have in China. They have in China already, and they're going to be, monitoring you and saying you can do this or that, and you will be penalized. You can't get on a train, or you can't get this or that. So that is now beginning with this. I believe this is the start of this, and I think that's what he was saying today. It's called HARPA. So I just want people to be aware of that we're now entering a social credit regime. Now, it's not law or anything yet, but it's already being put out there as the future. So just wanted to put that out there. Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, clearly we have devolved into a dictatorship. Yes, we're being spied on all the time. We're being lied to by the government. And personally, there's really nothing in the Constitution that allows the government to lie to the American people. So my opinion is that when the government does lie to the American people, okay, I heard a weird sound. When the government is lying to the American people, they're acting illegally and unconstitutionally. And I don't recognize a right by the government to lie to the American people. I demand truthful government, or I'll have no government at all.
Right. And of course, it's not going to stop with guns. I mean, that's just the beginning. It's going to go into other aspects of our life. It's going to be saying, well, you can't own a gun because you disagree with this, or you like this, or whatever. Yeah. But it's all arbitrary. It's all unconstitutional. And so that's really what I wanted to say. And it's really crazy that people, you just like walk around, you look at folks, you're like, do people really realize what's happening like right now? It's kind of like, man, y'all understand.
Well, so that's why so many people are so nervous about the liberals winning the next year's election. Anyway, W, got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to take another phone call from Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Glad to have you down here. Glad to have you in the lower 48, Michael. Glad you're in a state where your vote actually counts. You can be a conservative voice will count, not like in Hawaii where your vote didn't really count because everything's leftist over there. Now you're in conservative part of the country, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I noticed the difference immediately.
Yes, and there's a few things I want to get off my chest. One is that one caller, Paul, you straightened him out about we don't need the annex the Bahamas for how those people come and vote in the Florida election. We don't need nothing like that, like we had with the Puerto Ricans. We definitely don't want that. What we don't want also is we don't talking about guns. Look what's going on in Chicago over the Labor Day weekend, Michael. 11 murdered.
Oh yeah.
Shot, and 1,700 already murdered in that city. Okay, you're not far from that city, and let me tell you. These Democrats keep talking about gun control. They want to take the guns and all. You notice, Michael, when it's two white young guys in the state of Texas because they feel like their state's being invaded, they go crazy, which is wrong for murdering anybody. But when all you hear about this, but you don't hear about the angel moms and fathers who lost their sons, the illegal aliens. You don't hear about there's 56 million double-barrel shotguns in this country that Joe Biden said everybody should go buy one. Biden actually said everybody should go buy 2 double-barrel shotguns and saw them off. You remember him saying that? I do. I remember all that real well. Now Walmart don't want to sell assault weapons, but you go buy a shotgun, Joe, Sleepy Joe, Crazy Joe. But, all we hear about, all these leftist communists want to grab your guns. And in Chicago, the mayor's blaming the NRA and Trump. And you're blaming Trump for this hurricane that hit the Bahamas. What about when Obama was president? Obama? What did Obama do for Chicago? All you liberals are listening. I mean, what did Obama do for this country? The country's Chicago's been annihilated for years under the Obama administration. And that guy Paul, he said, we should enact that. No, we don't need. Let them stay where they are, and we let them have their own government. We don't need them over here to vote in our Florida elections or to try to swing the electoral college. And the Democrats would love to get rid of that if they could.
Yes.
Michael, and another thing I got to get off my chest, and I really got to get this off my chest. Before you went off, you were moving. That guy Dustin called in. And he was rebucking me on about, hey, Tom, you got all these illegals doing all your work while they cut your grass and they work in the hotels. Well, no, they don't, Dustin. They don't cut my grass. They cut my own grass. And if I have to, I'll find an American to cut my grass, Dustin. And I'm sure a lot of black Afro-Americans would love to have those jobs in these hotels and motels on the Miami Beach and all that, Dustin.
Yep.
We don't need these illegals in here. And Dustin always wants us to put down Trump. Well, you know what, Dustin? Today they just funded $3.8 billion to build that wall. 400 miles is going to be built, and the whole thing's going to be built if you give the guy another 6 years in office or 5 years in office. If he can get 5 more years in there, he can build that whole wall, and we can have a wall, and we can start kicking all these illegals out of here when there's no such thing as a sanctuary city. And if Dustin had a big problem, why doesn't he call senators or congressmen and ask his Democratic senators, why are you having sanctuary cities in this state? In your state, Dustin. In New York, the most rudest people in the country, New York and New Jersey.
Yep.
Supposedly, they had a survey. They're so rude over there. But I like Dustin to call in and tell me, rebut me on this. Hey, Dustin, you talk about, these people do jobs you wouldn't. No, they don't. I cut my own grass. And I'm an old man. I still go out and cut my own grass and do my gardening. I don't have to hire somebody. And if these lily whites they want to pay some illegal to do their work, that's their problem. But they shouldn't. They should do their own work. And that's why they'd be healthier if they would go out and cut their own grass and do their own gardening or weeding or whatever they got to do, weed eating or whatever. And, as far as these hotels and motels and all these service jobs, those jobs should be going to Americans if you pay them a decent wage. Not where Dustin say, these illegals are here already. No, they shouldn't be here. If they break the law, you're here illegally. That's called breaking the law. You should be deported out of here. Now, Donald Trump's the commander-in-chief. He has the authority to say there's no such thing as sanctuary cities. Start arresting these mayors and these commissioners. They should be arrested. And as far as the Russia collusion crap with Comey should be in jail, and all Brennan for sure should be in jail, and all that Clapper, all those scumbags should be in jail. They shouldn't be running the street. And another thing, Michael, what's going on in Texas? Did you see seeing One American News yesterday about 900 kids in the state of Texas have the measles and the mumps? Could you imagine ever a pandemic or to break out coming through Mexico from one of those Central American countries, wherever it was one of those Middle Eastern countries where all these Middle Easterns are sneaking through that border? Can you imagine some kind of massive pandemic where 100,000 or a million people get killed from a pandemic, like the swine flu or Spanish flu from the 1918 or something?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And, this Dustin guy, he was talking, Trump. Well, Trump's not perfect. Michael, he tweets too much, whatever. But the guy's at least saying he shook the nation like it's never been shook politically. Let's not kid ourselves. You would have never heard about China with Hillary. Oh, China's great. Well, no, China's stealing our intellectual properties by the hundreds of billions of dollars every year. They steal everything. And how did a country in 1974 become the superpower of the world? When Richard Nixon opened up the bamboo curtain. They were all bicycles in 1974.
Because we offshored our manufacturing.
Michael, but I will get into the fact that, Dustin wants to put down Trump at all times. No, Trump is, he's not the greatest president. He's maybe not Ronald Reagan. But you know what? In my lifetime, Trump's done a lot more when it came to immigration than Ronald Reagan did. You know what Ronald Reagan was famous for, Dustin? And Michael, I want you to hear this. I want Dustin to hear this. You know, Reagan said the biggest mistake he ever made as president of the United States in 1988. Ronald Reagan said this, Michael. The biggest mistake I ever did was that immigration deal when they promised that they were going to stop immigration after he signed that bill.
Yeah.
Before he died. And Ronald Reagan said he should have never, ever signed that bill where they promised that was the end of this. And Michael, think about this. When Reagan left office, there were still elected Republicans in the state of California.
Yes.
Okay? Now look at
California
it.
was very much a red state.
Over there. That's right. It was a very red state. Now it's so liberal. It's insanity. And Dustin, Dustin wants to talk about Trump and this. No, Dustin. And I don't need nobody to cut my grass. And I don't need nobody to work in motels illegally. They come here illegally. They're breaking the law. They shouldn't even be here. And these angel moms and dads, that should be running ad. Donald Trump should run an ad every day about the angel moms and dads who lost a loved one to an illegal alien. All we hear about is these all we hear about is these Texas shooters and all this crap about, oh, they're going to take your guns. No, they're not taking no guns. Because remember, Michael, there's 56, 58, how many millions of shotguns in this country alone. And they talk about weaponry. You got a car's a weapon, a knife. Look what's going on in London. You got people stabbing each other left and right with guns or swords, whatever they use. So this crap these liberal, Democrat, communist Bolsheviks want to push, oh, we're going to grab your guns. That will never happen. Because look at Chicago. The gangs will always get guns. They're always going to get guns no matter what on the black market. So all this crap we hear about, oh, they're going to confiscate your guns. Who's going to confiscate the guns? Who? You got most of the guys in the military, ex-generals, colonels, lieutenants, captains. You think they're going to give up their guns?
Nope.
Fought for this country. Some of these guys are in their 50, 60, 70-year-olds. You think they're going to give up their gun? People? No, I don't think so. Okay? My father was a Korean War vet. And he would have never gave up nothing because he went to war for this country. I had two brothers in Vietnam, Dustin. So, my family, I come from a long military family in this country. It goes all the way back to the Civil War. Nobody's going to give up their guns. I mean, let them try it. Because it's not going to happen. Like I said, Joe Biden's out there. He's running for president. He can actually beat a president. No, people would actually vote for him. This guy's telling you 2 years ago, oh, go out and buy all the shotguns you can. I mean, he even mentioned saw him off, Michael.
And it was a dumb suggestion too, because he was talking about dealing with a hostage situation. And, if you try and use a shotgun to deal with a hostage situation, you're going to hit the hostage along with the perpetrator. And that's why, you really need a rifle that's going to put a single round exactly where you want it. So Biden really
talking about this. Nobody's talking about the diseases that are here.
Say again?
Sorry. I was saying, what about, I remember people talking about years ago about anthrax, all these different disease, chemical weapons. I mean, we're talking about, if people are crazy, they can use their car as a weapon. I mean, a big semi pickup truck or big pickup truck or semi. I mean, all we hear is about these two guys in Texas did these shootings. I guess one guy got fired from his job, or he got fired, so he went nuts, and which was horrible. Okay, and the other guy, I guess they don't even really tell you what was his motive. What was the real motive of that guy, Michael? Because he felt like Texas was being invaded or something by illegals. He can't find work, or he had no job opportunities. What was that guy? The first guy's motive. What was his motive for why he went nuts in Walmart? Because he didn't have no work, and he felt like everybody's speaking. They didn't want to speak his language. I don't know. And that's another thing, Michael, that I've discussed with you on the air. You got people coming here. They're not asylum-aiding speaking the English language, because let me tell you, if you had 100 million German people in this country, hey, all of a sudden I got German blood, I want to speak German, and I want 25 stations in German, and I want to speak German as my language. And actually, German was going to be the language of this country.
Yes.
We were one vote away in the Continental Congress to be speaking German. And I don't know if Dustin knows that, but this country is one vote away from being a German-speaking nation. And I'll tell you another thing, Michael. Have you ever had this chance to see the thing on the History Channel about the Armada yet? The Spanish Armada?
Yeah.
You saw that documentary?
Yes.
That was amazing. And it was amazing that King Henry VIII, who wanted to be beheaded, he beheaded his daughter's mother. Elizabeth's mother was beheaded by him.
Yes.
And the ship in that documentary is the reason England kicked Spain's butt. The ship that sunk, that Henry VIII had, it sunk because it listed over because of the cannons. But because of that, Elizabeth became the Queen of England. She makes the cannons shorter, and they beat the Spanish Armada. Otherwise, this country would be speaking Spanish right now. Let's not kid ourselves. The reason the United States speaks English is because Henry VIII had a ship that sunk. That was amazing to watch that documentary. It was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing to see that documentary and see how, because Elizabeth was the daughter of him, she takes over the reins of England and becomes the richest power for 300-400 years.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
It was a truly amazing documentary. And I think everybody should watch it. And but, getting back to these people who think that Trump is so bad and Trump is, well, hey, yeah, Trump is not the greatest. He's not a Ronald Reagan. I'll admit that to you. But he's not. It could have been worse if we'd had a Hillary in there, Michael. We would have known nothing about the FBI. We would have known nothing about the DHS. We'd have known none of this crap. China would be running a ramshot on us. They'd be doing a Chinese water torture us in the next 20 years. Immigration would be out of control. I mean, there's 7 million illegals in the state of California, Michael. 7 million. Can you imagine? That's insanity. And Ronald Reagan says it. The biggest mistake
that's why
that immigration bill.
That's why in the midterm elections, so many of the districts in California switched from red to blue. These immigrants are coming into this country. The Democrats are registering them left and right and saying, if you vote Democrat, we're going to give you free stuff. And they're basing their entire 2020 election strategy on this.
Well, that's right, Michael. In California, you get 2 years. An illegal alien can get 2 years of free college at a community college. You try to do that anywhere else. You go to California, you get 2 years of free college, and you can become an associate degree. I mean, come on. And they look, Michael. I'll tell you one thing you don't never talk about. Nobody calls in to tell your show this, but I can tell you this: a lot of these illegals that are coming here, and the ones that even got green cards, they're getting federal government jobs. They're working for transit, they're working for GSA, they're working solid waste, they're working at water, sewer. These people are getting great jobs, and they're not even in the country 3 or 4 years. And they're making $75,000. You got Americans who don't have these jobs. American citizenry, and that's what Donald Trump should be straightening out right now. You come here, and another thing, you're not going to work in these nursing homes not speaking no English. This has all got to be dealt with by Trump and that Republican Party. Otherwise, they're going to get annihilated. They got to start telling the American public what's really going on. You got to hammer home the truth of what's going on. This is nothing but an invasion. And Dustin wants to defend, these people are coming doing your lawn. These people are doing working in motels. That's a lie, Dustin. There's a lot of Americans that do those jobs. And I know a lot of white Americans also, who have lawn service businesses. Okay? And they also work in hotels on Fontainebleau in Miami Beach. I have a good friend of mine who works over there. And he makes great money. I have another guy who's a valet car parker over there. So I know people who have these jobs that they shouldn't be going to illegal aliens. They should be going to Americans. Not to an illegal invasion horde who wants to look. They're not coming here to compliment Michael. They're coming to eat our lunch, take our jobs, and they want to take this country to the Democratic, leftist, liberal, Ocasio-Cortez way of thinking.
Yes.
Now she's blaming Trump for the hurricane in Bahamas. It was all Donald Trump's fault. Global warming. Global warming's been going on for thousands of years. Who are you kidding? There's been I remember now in the 1960s, there were hurricanes in Florida left and right. Donna. We had a bunch of hurricanes were hitting here. I mean, it was unbelievable. In 92 when Andrew here, I was in the eye of that hurricane. Is she going to blame that on Trump? Or is she going to blame that on Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton was the president. Well, no, actually it was Bush, I believe. That was Bush. George Bush.
Tom, Alexandria does not understand physics. She does not understand climate or weather. Because you can get these huge monster storms as easily by upper atmospheric cooling as by surface warming. And, everybody who's out there saying, well, global warming is leading to more stuff. First of all, we're having a really rough hurricane season, but overall, the total number of hurricanes is actually in decline. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, and another thing, Dustin, I want him to know Donald Trump should buy Greenland. It would be the greatest purchase this country could ever made. If they could only got Greenland, they should have took Greenland and made that place, I think got to make that a Mecca in the next 50 years. That place could be a Mecca, that Greenland. Tell you what, it's a beautiful place, actually, in some ways. Looking at the map of Greenland, some of that place is very nice. So, and they got the freshest water in the world. Yes, they do.
Greenland than anywhere. I mean,
yes,
we don't even know what kind of minerals Greenland has. Can you imagine the minerals under that ice? It'd be mind-blowing to know what's really under Greenland's ice. But, Michael, I got to say this. This Ocasio-Cortez, and I know you got other calls. Ocasio-Cortez keeps calling herself a Latina. Why are all these people in South America and all that keep calling themselves Latinas when they're not, have nothing to do with Latin America? They're not Latins, they're Hispanic. The only Latins were in Rome. They went to Ireland, they went to Scotland. They had nothing. Can you explain that to me, Michael, over there? And I'll let you have another caller coming in. What is a Latina compared to a Hispanic? I would like you to, somebody who really did, I don't know the whole research on that, but I know Latins are out of Rome. They're Italians. Why these people in Spain keep calling themselves Hispanic? I mean, Latins, they're Hispanic, correct? They're Hispanic. Yes. They're not Latin. Straighten me out on that. Am I right or wrong?
It's a matter of vanity. Latina sounds better than Hispanic. And okay, again, it's one of those social customs that makes no sense. Okay.
Right, because they're not Latins. The Hispanics are not Latins. Actually, you got Latins in Ireland and Scotland supporting you in Spain.
Tom, I got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. We will be right back.
Republic Broadcasting Network depends on listener support of our advertisers and of our sponsors. We'd like to especially thank all of you who have taken advantage of our fundraiser with FrontSight Bonus. Those who are now FrontSight members, please train as soon as possible for your sake and for that of our nation. And please consider sharing your training and what you've learned when you arrive home. Republic Broadcasting Network has to stop promoting this fundraiser on air and on the website in just a few days. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, president of FrontSight, made a gracious exception to his no media rule for us at Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank you, Dr. Piazza. And once you've been to FrontSight, feel free to call your favorite host and share your experience on the air. We can continue this fundraiser without media help, but it'll be totally up to the listeners to spread the information. Please call Dan Sutterfield in Missouri at 573-465-2356, 573-465-2356. That's 573-465-2356.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go back to the phones to Chance in West Virginia. Aloha, Chance. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, Michael, I got to agree with your last caller, Tom from Florida. I left that godforsaken, wretched state of New Jersey a long time ago and never looked back. And let me tell you why. The highest property taxes in the nation, the highest car insurance, a high crime rate, massive home prices, worse gun control, massive illegal immigration, traffic jams all over. And now, to top it off, they got a rainwater tax. If you could believe this. This is no joke.
No, I know it's no joke. I remember reading about that.
Yeah. So, close to 1,500 people per square mile in that wretched state who can't communicate in English, are rude, and road rage is a sport there. So, what Tom said is right. So these attitudes, even though I'm from there, born and raised there, like I said, I ran out of there like a bat out of hell. Here's an example. I own a home, move-in condition on an acre and a half of property. If I had this home up north, mind you, and this is no lie, I would be paying anywhere from, I'd say, $16,000 to $20,000 a year in property taxes.
What are they doing with all that money?
They're giving it to the illegals. And let me tell you another thing. The house I bought, 3-bedroom move-in condition on the acre and a half.
Yeah.
Would cost me, and this is no lie, Michael, no lie. This house would cost me anywhere from, up in New Jersey, would cost me from $325,000 to $415,000, mind you.
Yeah.
So this is why the people want the cheap foreign labor who can't speak English to mow their lawns, because they have to work 3 jobs, drop their kids off at the lowest bidder, and spend 2.5 hours out of the house working just to live there in that wretched state. And that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, it's still illegal to employ an undocumented worker, and first of all, the undocumented worker needs to be flung over that fence, and once they finish building that new fence, I think we ought to get the guys from the Punkin Chunkin show, to turn it into a spectator sport. Just use those trebuchets to fling the illegals back over the fence. Longest distance and highest bounce wins the prize. And again, one of our earlier callers made an important point. Why aren't these mayors of so-called sanctuary cities being arrested? Because they are in violation of Title VIII.
Oh, in New Jersey, you have at least 5 or 6 sanctuary cities, too, by the way.
All right, that's 5.
Welcome the league.
5
that state
jailbirds.
is so corrupt, they'll always welcome illegals with open arms there and stick it to the populace. Believe me, I'm born and raised there, went to college there. Like I said, when it came time to leave, I ran out of there and never looked back. Okay,
all right.
Michael, take care now.
Yep, got to do station identification. We'll be back with hour number 3 after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. owner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we have a caller waiting on the line, Jeff in California. Aloha, Jeff. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
That was quick. Thank you. I wanted to address this illegal immigration thing.
Okay.
I just got kicked out of a job. There was nothing but Latino speakers in this job. And I never felt comfortable, but I made my way.
Okay.
But these folks, it's not like they want to be American. They want their way in our country. I was kicked out violently by some sort of ex-con, and everybody was sort of complicit unspokenly in the whole routine. And so I want to address that issue because it's very real, and I'm from San Diego. It's very real.
Yeah.
These folks want to take over. They don't want equality. They want to take over.
Well, I mean, I even remember back when I lived in Southern California, and this is going back to like the 80s, you know, there was this attitude among the Hispanic population that really California was still supposed to be part of Mexico because General Santa Anna did not actually have the legal authority to surrender that land to Sam Houston.
Michael, I'd like to say something. My heritage is of a Spanish land grant from Santa Cruz.
Okay.
I am actually my heritage is part of the state through the Spanish land grant. And anyway, I just thought I'd say that because folks say whatever you want to say, but these folks have an agenda that is not in anyone's best interest except for that agenda that is theirs, that derives itself from south of the border.
Yes.
And so that's it. And welcome to, and can I ask, I sent an email. Why did you choose Indiana?
Family. We've got family here. And, you know, so it was, we knew we were going to go back to the mainland. We didn't want to do the coast. I didn't want to do California or New York. And, you know, this is a very, very pleasant place. It's very rural. But mostly it was because, you know, we've got family here. And that's something we didn't have living in Hawaii.
Very important, vital. I've been to Indiana, and quite frankly, I think it's a wonderful place, being born and raised in California.
Yeah.
And so congratulations. Thanks for coming back. And I just want to say one more thing before I go. Remember, I'm the guy who sent the email, Mizon Kirby News, INN since 1997. I've been listening to you.
Okay. Boy, that's a long time. Thank you.
When you were just starting out. And I've been there ever since. So all the best to you. Continued success.
Thank you very much. I'm going to keep on doing this as long as it's needed.
Of course. And it's going to be needed. So again, thank you.
Yeah, sadly. That's kind of, unfortunately.
I know. It's sort of disheartening. We have to find the positive wherever we can find it. And you're in a place with family that you'll find it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. All the best.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Jeff. We're going to let you go here. Okay. The phone lines are open now, 800-313-9443. And apparently, it's not just the Democrats who are on this gun-grabbing rant, if you will, over at MSNBC. Somebody that we are supposed to think is a Republican at least, was literally urging people to target the NRA board members and try and wreck their businesses. And this gets back to something I said the other week about whatever happened to polite discourse in this country. When did all of a sudden disagreement become an excuse to just play dirty? Because that's what's happening. Now, over in South Dakota, the Democratic Party is closing its 2 remaining offices. They have run out of money, and staff, they're going to work remotely from other states. But it looks like South Dakota is definitely going to be Trump country next year. Okay. Apparently, Bette Midler blasts Ted Cruz as spineless following that mass killing down in Texas. And again, every time there's one of these tragedies, everybody's out there with their own agenda. They're pushing, gun control, or gun control doesn't work. And yeah, this Labor Day weekend in Chicago was just a lot of people got killed. Okay. Apparently, the stars of Will and Grace want to blacklist and dox Hollywood Trump supporters. For those of you who don't know what dox is yet, it's only been around for a little while, basically means outing their address, outing their phone number, so people know where they live. And it's basically an incitement to harassment. Now, I know about the Hollywood blacklist because I got blacklisted back in 1994. But this is getting really, really ugly. There are going to be no conservatives left in Hollywood whatsoever. Alrighty, the United States gives Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador $556 million in aid a year, for which we get in return caravans and 1 million illegals at our border each year. So, more video is surfacing from the Bahamas, the hurricane damage, and it was bad. There's just no 2 ways about it. Those people have been put through heck, and hopefully this next storm that's forming out to the east will miss them entirely here. Apparently the FAA has decided that weaponizing drones is a tacky no-no, and is warning civilian operators of drones if they are weaponized, it carries a fine of $25,000. So don't tie that brick to the bottom of the drone here. Okay. Apparently Trump is trolling Deborah Messing for blacklisting Hollywood conservatives. It's a purge. And if the liberals do succeed in capturing both houses of Congress and the White House next year, and with 26 million illegal immigrants voting Democrat in this country, they just might. It's going to be like Stalinist times. Be very rough for conservatives here. All right. Apparently, China's factories had a surprisingly good month. So they're doing okay. And now, let's see. Let's go to page 2. All right. Apparently, CNN has benched Steve Cortez, their own Latino contributor, because he's a Trump supporter. And that sets a really, really bad precedent. It's just, your politics can really influence your life. And the liberals are just, they're out there for blood. So we were talking about New Jersey on that phone call. Apparently New York is also running out of fuel and power. So they're going to be, I guess, candles or something. Apparently, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went on a rant about how student IDs shouldn't be listing citizenship or legal status, apparently unaware that as of right now, they don't. She wanted to just go on out there. They're on the warpath. They want there to be no impediment to illegal immigrants voting in U.S. elections, because they can get them to vote Democratic by just promising them all kinds of free stuff here. Apparently, T-Mobile is now canceling their 5G installation nationwide, and apparently the blame is going to 15 states' lawsuits against the Sprint merger. So, a little bit of... Now, we were talking about this with one of the callers before. The Pentagon wants to police social media fake news and deep fakes. And DARPA is going to deploy these online cyber forces to watch for large-scale automated disinformation attacks using specialized software to detect deep fakes of photos, videos, and audio clips. So, yeah, they are... They're taking away the free and open internet. I remember when the internet first went public, and that was all the way back in the 70s, where it was called the ARPANET. And then there was the Great Revolt, where the government tried to basically get it under control and say only for military contractors and people actively working for the government can have access to this. And the companies that were running the backbone all said, nope, keep your money. We'll take care of it. And that's the day the ARPANET became the internet. And it was like the wild, wild west. I mean, the email, of course, was great. We still use that. FTP was great. Still use that. Back then, there was a facility called Usenet, which was a wide area news article posting system where you had all these different little news groups that you would sign up for, and you could view what was in there, and you could post, and everybody could see everything. And there, unfortunately, were some abuses involving copyrighted material, but mostly it scared the government because all of a sudden the American people had access to a system where they could basically share their opinion with other Americans. So they were trying to figure out a way to sort of take that back. Now, obviously, when web browsing came along, Usenet went away, in part because of the copyright violations. And because of the web browsers, everybody is now basically gated through Facebook and Google and these other social media giants. And that becomes the very instrument of control that the ARPANET was originally designed not to have. Because the original ARPANET was peer-to-peer. Everybody talked to everybody. And now it all goes through these filters. Okay, apparently out in California, Sirhan Sirhan, the alleged assassin of Robert Kennedy, was stabbed by a fellow inmate. 75 years old, was taken to the hospital after the attack at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facilities, where he's still serving a life sentence for the 1968 killing of the senators. And apparently, I mean, nobody knows what triggered the attack. Now, this is an interesting little story. We talked about this before in the program. Jean-Luc Brunel has been accused in U.S. court of procuring young girls for Jeff Epstein. Now, he's always denied the accusations, but apparently some of the documentation that's coming on out will basically confirm he did. So this guy was on a talent scouting trip to Brazil, which is a good place to disappear, and that appears to be exactly what happened. And a Paris legal source told the media, he's a ghost. He's disappeared without a trace. And they added there's no address for him. All of his internet accounts, including social media, have been wiped out. He is uncontactable. So it sounds to me like he's just gone to ground. Anyway. Let's get some phone calls going here. 800-313-9443. Get the rest of the show done. According to the Wall Street Journal, we're seeing the highest recession probability reading ever in the history of the survey. So there's another indicator. The economy is in trouble here. Apparently, Beto O'Rourke is out there saying that if he becomes president, owners of the AK-47 and AR-15 rifles will have to sell them to the government. And again, they've tried these gun buyback programs. They never work. They never work. What happens is people will go out and they'll steal other people's guns, turn them in for the money or the food cards. A lot of people are starting to say that Elon Musk isn't all that he seems to be. He's being called a fraudster, and that he relies on a celebrity to keep things going. Now, SpaceX seems to be doing okay. The Teslas, on the other hand, I think he really ought to sell that company off to somebody who knows how to run it here. All right. And something that was really kind of disgusting about the Hurricane Dorian, when it was still aimed right at Florida, there were actually people saying that they hoped it would hit the Mar-a-Lago resort, Trump's place, and knock it down. The fact that there were people in there who would be killed apparently is not an issue for them. And it's just amazing how much they hate this guy, to the point of wishing death on total strangers here. Alrighty. Apparently, privacy experts working for Google announced last week that they had discovered a security flaw in Apple's iPhones that left them vulnerable for the past 2 years. Apple says that they have now fixed the problem. And, you know, I was talking to somebody earlier today saying, I really loved computers when they were simple, like, you know, the Apple II, the Commodore VIC-20, Commodore 64. Those were fun machines to work with. Okay, let's see. Okay. Apparently, in addition to... we've got a caller on the line, and to nobody's surprise, it's Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. And I'm probably going to have to take you through the commercial break.
It's me again. Mike, I got to respond to Tom and that other caller.
Yeah, I kind of figured you were going to be calling in on that one.
Yeah. Mike, no state in this country is perfect. We all have corruption in every state. Florida is not exempt from corruption. Neither is West Virginia. New Jersey's corrupt. All that money that goes from the taxpayers, it goes into their pockets or into Washington, D.C.'s pockets. So we all know that. But, I mean, New Jersey's not, I mean, it is a high tax state, but Hawaii was, you know, also.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's a beautiful state, though. It has its issues. There's areas that suck, and there's areas that are beautiful. I live in a nice area. There is traffic, but I have an issue with Tom. Tom, I didn't say like illegal. The thing about illegal aliens, I said, Tom, with Florida, even though you're not a sanctuary state, I'll hold over.
Yeah, hold over. Got to do a break for commercials, and we'll be right back with Dustin from New Jersey.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Dustin in New Jersey, and Dustin is responding to an earlier call by Tom. And I'm going to ask that we sort of keep the discussion low-key. Tom has a tendency to just sort of let his angst get the better of him. And I'm not entirely sure that what he was saying was what he meant to say.
Well, I like Tom Cullen, Mike. He has a lot of truths. He's right about illegal aliens. They shouldn't be here.
Yep.
What I was trying to say, with Florida, even though it's a sanctuary, not a state for sanctuary status, There's people that hire people to cut their lawns, to work in their. People have maids. I know somebody in New Jersey that had a maid. They didn't make a lot of money, but they didn't clean their own house. You know, because they're lazier, I guess. You know, but I mean that goes on in every state in this country. But there's illegals doing it. Yeah, there's illegals cleaning hotels. There's illegals working at meat packing plants, which we heard on the news, and we heard before, and that they busted. But which ones aren't they busting? You know, I'm not for illegal aliens. You know, they shouldn't be here. You know, but what I'm saying is the facts are they're here. You know, and it's going on not only in my state, but states that are sanctuary not states. You know, so I mean, you can't say Florida's all holy moly or West Virginia's holy moly, which leads me to the other caller who's calling New Jersey wretched. I mean, we all have our issues with all the states in this country. It's our leadership. I mean, New Jersey's got pretty crappy people running the country. And
yes.
Pretty crappy people running the states. I mean, you know, Hawaii, what was her name? That woman, I hated that in Hawaii. What was her name? Karosi something. She said men or whatever. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I'm.
You already forgot. You left.
Yeah, already.
Hiroshi something.
Oh,
right?
Mazie Hirono. Mazie Hirono.
Yeah, she was a wretched person, but that's their ideology. So they all think like that, and that's through the whole country. So it's not just Hawaii. It's an ideology thing of this neoliberal, and it's going on in Europe also. So I don't want people to knock on New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey's a nice state, but it's expensive, you know, and stuff like that. I just want to, you know, and Mike, and I'm for having a gun. I don't have a gun, but I'm for having like a fully automatic rifle, and I don't think you should need a license for it. I think you should have a background check. That's it. Like if you have a background check, and that's fine. You know, I think everybody should be able to own fully automatic, I think, because, you know, what the military has is what you should have because that's the right to bear arms. That's it.
Right.
You know, but there is violence in our country because we're becoming like we hate each other. You know, I don't hate Tom. I think he's great. Mike, the West Virginia. I want all these people to call in. I love everybody calling in. They might not like me, but I like them. And, you know, there's just a lot of hate going on, and it's caused by our politicians and their subordinates. These NGOs or whatever you call it, you know, Black Lives Matter, they're causing everybody to hate each other. So you got people going out and causing this violence on both sides, not just the liberals, but you also have some, who knows what's real and what's not, but there is violence going on in this country. And, you know, like,
yeah, it is, and
have a good rest of the show, Mike. I mean,
it's being glamorized by the TV news, and you know the earlier caller was absolutely right. When somebody is stabbed or deliberately run over with a car or slashed with a sword, it doesn't get any news coverage. The focus and the agenda is always on getting those guns, and the bias is very obvious.
Mike.
Yeah.
Like before I get off the phone, you can take the guns away, the knives like they do in London, the golf clubs, the bats, the billy clubs, the cars to drive over people. But you know what you're left with? Human beings with a left and a right arm, and they got fists on them. And you can strangle people and kill people with your own bare hands. So
yes,
it's a human being issue. It's not a gun issue or a knife issue. Thanks, Mike. Have a good night.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. We're coming up on another commercial break. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Okay, getting on back to Jeff Epstein, and, he's the gift that keeps on giving in terms of a news broadcast. In addition to Ghislaine Maxwell, there were apparently 4 other women that worked for Epstein, recruiting and training these underage girl victims. And apparently these 4 women were given immunity under his Florida sweetheart plea deal. Well, apparently they're considering investigating them up in New York because they didn't confine their activity to just Florida. So Oh, and there's the music. We're taking a commercial break here. Back with the rest of our show after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Here at Front Sight, my experience has been amazing. I've been here now 2 days. I have a 2-day course, I have a 4-day course. Because of my schedule, I took a 2-day course. And just learning so much about the operation of a firearm, the safety of a firearm, how to hold it properly, how to shoot it, how many times to shoot. So much stuff that I had no idea about. The instructors were patient, they're very calm. They recognize that people are inexperienced, and I certainly am and was. Better now than I was 2 days ago. But they take your time. You can ask the dumbest question, and Lord knows I asked a number of them, and they very patiently responded. So you just know a lot more about safety, about protecting yourself and protecting your loved ones, which is what this is all about. I took the course with my girlfriend, Nina. It was a lot of fun. And one of the things that they do is they have you train with somebody else, like Nina. Nina's behind me. We both hear the same instruction. And so if I miss something, she can correct me. If she misses something, I can correct her. It also makes you feel more relaxed because you're with somebody you know, and you're with another person who knows about as much or about as little as you know. And so when they fumble around and you're watching them, you don't feel quite as stupid if you fumble around. You can also watch somebody get better and better as you've gotten better and better. So you have some sort of bar so you can tell how much better you're getting. The other thing is it's just a collegial atmosphere. Nobody felt pressured. Nobody felt stressed. Nobody was screamed at. And some people had been here before. Others were coming here for the very first time. It was a lot of fun and a lot of different people coming from different parts of the country. And I met a lot of interesting people since I've been here. One of the reasons I wanted to come to Front Sight is because I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment, which is the right to keep and bear arms. People don't really quite understand what the Second Amendment means often. I learned the difference between the kinds of firearms that civilians use that are protected by the Second Amendment and those that are not. The other thing is, what this place shows you is that the Founding Fathers got it right when they felt that the best way to secure a guarantee against a tyrannical government is an armed citizenry. And everybody here is armed. Yet people are responsible. They know what they're doing. They know how to use firearms. And there was no sense of danger whatsoever here. I think that's what the Founding Fathers thought. They thought that everybody, ages, I think it was 17 to 45 or so, were part of the citizen militia, the citizen army, not government army, but citizen army, in order to protect against a tyrannical government. And it shows you in an environment right here at Front Sight that people who are armed, who are responsible, are in fact safe people and can make the environment even more safe. One of the great things about Front Sight, assuming that, for example, you're a teacher and you are thinking about carrying concealed, they will simulate what it's like for a bad guy to come into a classroom so the teacher can have a sort of real world type of experience and know how to respond and know how to react. He also will provide a free course for any teacher who wants to take one. Come here and you'll see for yourself. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. So I urge anybody who's got a firearm, anybody who's thinking about getting a firearm, to come to Front Sight and take a course.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Apparently over the commercial break, we had somebody call on in and complain about having Dustin on the phone twice a day. And normally we do have a rule that it's one call per caller per day. But in the case of Tom, I felt I had to give Dustin a chance to respond. And all I ask is that if we are going to get these little confrontations going, that they be respectful and low-key. I don't want to turn this into like the independent media version of Maury Povich or something like that. Alrighty, now, if you're like me, you are a big Star Wars fan, and you probably remember the second movie produced, the fifth film in this story cycle where we get to meet the character of Jabba the Hutt. And there is this scene where Princess Leia, disguised as a bounty hunter, has entered Jabba's throne room and is demanding a high reward for turning in Chewbacca the Wookiee, and basically threatens Jabba the Hutt with what's called a thermal detonator, obviously a very powerful explosive. Well, somebody yeah, I just heard some sound there. Somebody over at Disneyland thought it would be a good idea to have a special souvenir Star Wars Coke bottle shaped like the thermal detonator. It's one of those ideas that probably sounded really, really good in the boardroom, but apparently it looks enough like an explosive where TSA has now banned it. So, put it in your checked luggage. They're not going to let you take it on board the airplane. And by the way, for the record, TSA was really kind of cool with us coming out here. Okay, I'm hearing some sounds. Okay. Well, engineering thing. All right, over at River Falls, Wisconsin, employees at the 3 Square Market were literally implanted with microchips by their bosses, and apparently thought it was so cool, they had these T-shirts. I got chipped. Okay, I think it's coming from here. Nope. Anyway, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claims she was actively very excited to visit Israel before the squad members were barred. All right. There is another virus that is sweeping the country. It's called the Triple E virus. And apparently states are warning people to stay inside at dawn and dusk, which sounds like it's being carried by an insect vector. Schools are adjusting sports schedules to try and combat that, and students are inside by 7:30 p.m. All righty. This is really silly. Okay. Alabama's governor has now apologized for wearing blackface in her youth. Now, we've seemed to have reached a situation in this country where your entire life is now fair game. And let's be honest, if you think about your own life, you're going to find some things you did that were pretty dumb or insensitive. Hang on a second. Okay, it just keeps coming and going. Yeah, we've reached that stage where things that you did years ago, things that were considered socially acceptable at the time, are being dug up and used to attack people. How dare you not realize, 30 years ago that wearing blackface would be objectionable today. Okay. Okay, that's the explanation. That's from RBN. Oh, we have a caller on the line, Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, about the sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. I live in New York, which is a sanctuary city within a sanctuary state. But the thing I'm thinking about is, how could they have jurisdiction? It would be like if West Virginia would say today, after everything we went through, that West Virginia is now a slave state. There's no jurisdiction on that. The same thing with the sanctuaries. This is a federal matter. How do they get away with that? There has to be some kind of a confrontation.
There really should be, and Trump should be leading the way on that one. But it's kind of this nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Everybody's going along with it. And, from the Democrats' point of view, it allows them to load up next year's election. In the larger scheme of things, of course, this supports that whole one world government, new world order, one population, one central bank, one slab of cement.
And I want to say something else about the term Latino and Hispanic.
Yeah.
Okay. So most people from Latin America, or say from Mexico and Central America, have an indigenous background to some degree, maybe even a large degree, and this is I believe that the term Hispanic, which covers the language, is totally inappropriate. Because, like, we have tourists that come here to New York. They come up these, tourist buses and walk around neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I hear them, a lot of them will be speaking European, Castilian Spanish. And they're totally European. You couldn't tell them apart from a German or any other European. So it's really not an ethnic thing. It's really it's really not a language thing. It's an ethnic thing. And they're putting the language thing onto the ethnicity. Okay. And also, I wanted to mention one thing also. And now, have you heard about this thing? It's been in a couple of other RBN host shows. This 4-piece article by Whitney Webb about the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
No, I've been kind of busy these last few days.
Oh, you have to read it. I mean, who talked about it? Slattery talked about it, and John Statmeyer talked about it. It's a 4-piece article. Her name was Whitney Webb, and it is totally thorough, going way back when, with Jeffrey Epstein, all of his liaisons and government things, and multiple child abuse rings in Washington, and it's totally credible and well researched, and the point I want to bring out on this is with the Attorney General of what's the name of the new attorney? Barr.
Yes.
Okay? He is brought up in this thing, I think, in part 4. Now, I can't really remember exactly what it was, but it was not on the positive side. He has some kind of relationship to some of these things that went way back when he was Attorney General the first time, and he was not. And it comes out that he seems to be part, at least at that time, part of what we would call the swamp.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting a lot from him regarding to Epstein or regarding to this these FISA court things. I don't know. I'm really worried about him. I think it's another one of these improper appointments.
I'm in agreement. We seem to see the same names cropping up time and time again. They're involved in intelligence agencies. We had, look at James Comey. He'd been on the board of directors of HSBC when they were caught laundering drug money. And we know that
Lockheed Martin also he was working with that as a consultant. Yeah.
And remember Loretta Lynch cut that sweetheart deal for these drug dealers when she was attorney at New York.
Yeah,
so it all seems to be tied in with the drug cartels, and of course we know who loves to have a piece of the drug cartels. That's why they call it the Cocaine Importation Agency.
Can I bring up a very interesting fact that's not really directly related?
Please do.
I've talked to you about this before, about General William Jenkins Worth. Did I ever mention him to you before?
I think you did, but tell us all again.
Okay, so if you're in Manhattan, in New York, there's a traffic island where Broadway crosses Fifth Avenue between 25th and 23rd Street. And there's like a large traffic island there, a triangle. On that thing, there's a large obelisk monument. Buried alongside him, but below that monument, is the body of General William Jenkins Worth, who the city of Fort Worth, Texas, is named after, and he was the major prosecuting general in the Mexican War in 1848.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of interest. People pass it by every day, and thankfully they don't know what's going on there. It just looks like a traffic island with a monument in it. But you read the signs there, he's buried there. Because he was from upstate New York. That's where he was from.
Okay.
And with regard to taking over the Southwest, you've heard the term Azteclan before, right? Azteclan.
Yeah.
That they say La Raza, the Spanish racial group in Southwest America. They call it La Reconquista, the reconquering of Azteclan, the lands that were conquered from them, and they really believe in it, and they're working towards it.
Yes.
And they have a lot of cohesion among individuals there also.
Well, I mean, that group has been active going all the way back to the 1970s. And like I said, what drives them forward is they're convinced that General Santa Anna did not have the legal authority to sign all of that land over to Sam Houston, and that therefore it is still legally and technically part of Mexico, and they want it back.
Right. Well, the government doesn't agree with them, but that's very interesting.
Yeah. But that's what's behind that.
Good luck on the move too.
All right, thanks an awful lot, and we're going to let you go and switch over to Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I know you worked for NASA for, 2 or 3 years, or how many years?
Oh, boy, I don't remember. I think it was a little longer than that, but go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's your turn. Talk.
Okay. There was a story, and you might have saw this. There was a female astronaut. She committed a crime while she was in space. And what happened? She's married to another woman, and apparently they were having some domestic problems. So she used identity theft to break into her wife's banking and checking account to take money from that account to put it in her account. And now they're trying to figure out, can they charge her with identity theft while she's in space? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, I mean, it's going to have to be up to the lawyers here, but I think obviously, I mean, she has committed a crime. The question is one of jurisdiction, because the International Space Station is international, and nobody's ever said there has to be a controlling legal authority here, because nobody ever expected anybody at the ISS was going to commit a crime. But it's happened now. And my guess is that probably we're going to see we're probably going to see the United States assert jurisdiction over this case.
Okay, not like the United Nations or someone like that.
I don't think so. I don't think the UN really has jurisdiction. They're not really a law enforcement organization.
Okay. All right, then, Michael, I just needed that question to be answered. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. We're going to let you go. Coming up here on our last commercial break of the day here. And we were talking about TSA. And apparently a DEA agent is in trouble because he persuaded a drug dealer to buy a truck and then turned around and seized it through asset forfeiture. Talk about playing dirty here. Okay, let's see. Apparently Ilhan Omar is calling for UN occupation of the United States of America, which I guess would give them jurisdiction over the ISS. Now, Hurricane Dorian is apparently strengthening as it heads up the coast into the Carolinas. Florida got very lucky. Just a brush by. Same thing with Georgia. The Carolinas are not going to be so lucky. And it's a Cat 2 hurricane, 100-mile-an-hour sustained winds. So it's not as strong as when it hit the Bahamas And obviously the building codes in the Carolinas are going to be a little bit more strict. And people have been living there in the Carolinas for a very long time, and I'm sure that they understand when they build their homes, especially on those Outer Banks, they're either going to make them very, very strong or very, very cheap and easy to replace. And little interesting side story here. You've probably seen the traditional Japanese house. You've seen it in history books. You've seen it in movies like Shogun. And it's just all paper and lightweight wood. And the reason for that was very simple. The house was designed to actually collapse in an earthquake without killing everybody inside. And that's where that design evolved from. Okay. Ben Swan is out there asking, why is the U.S. sending a warship to China's backyard? Well, to be tough. To just, be butch about this whole thing. And apparently Ilhan Omar is now accused of illegal payments to her secret lover. All right, we're going to take a break here. Last commercial of the day. We'll be back with the last segment of the day after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank.
Thank you.
Legal in 49 states. And again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. if they don't do something by and by. The rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And as you know, we have more Democratic debates coming up here. And apparently the Democratic National Committee has just decided that Tulsi Gabbard will not be allowed on the stage. They don't want her out there with her anti-war rhetoric. And so this is the DNC playing dirty again. And yeah, if she's not visible in those debates, then she doesn't really have a chance. Okay. Now, we were talking earlier in the show with somebody on a phone call about social credit, and apparently it's already out here. There are private companies that are keeping scores on you that are called security ratings. It's not your credit score, it's your security rating. And there are some businesses that if your security rating is not high enough, they won't do business with you. And that includes Western Union, eBay, various other companies. So, this is really just spooky as all get out. And again, yes, it began in China. And it really is. This is not the country that I was born into 67 years ago. You know, back then we had freedom. Everybody had guns. Nobody shot anybody. Everybody was polite. And these days it's been turned into something else. Okay, over in San Jose, California, the mayor is asking firearm owners to insure their guns. I think this is the liability insurance, where if you hit something you're not supposed to, your liability insurance will cover it. I actually think that's a pretty good idea. I don't know that I agree it should be mandatory, but I think if somebody's shooting on a regular basis, having liability insurance would be a good idea. Okay. All righty. Okay, so Virgin Atlantic has gone to a woman of color as their new image model. And let's see, page up. And see what we got here. We only have about a minute left here. So, anyway. So, Dorian is heading for the Carolinas. It's strengthening. There's that other storm that's down by the Texas-Mexico border. And there are actually two systems forming up in the Atlantic. One is already a named tropical storm. The other one is just starting. So keep a weather eye out. Take care of yourselves. There's the music. Time for me to end this show. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please take what you learn here on the radio and the website, share it with everybody that you know, and please donate. RBN needs your help. It really, really needs your help. RBN could go away without your support. That's how important it is. So we'll get back tomorrow, and I got to figure out what I'm going to say for my radio show. Do I still say aloha from Indiana? Or who's your daddy? Got to figure that one out. Decisions. All right, so here we are.
Oh, yeah.